Hey guys, Jim here. Instead of doing a video on a custom knife or a custom flashlight or something I've been doing a little bit of over the past year, custom made spinning tops, I'm going to introduce you to something a little bit different. Now, some of you already know what this is, and a lot of you don't. You might be looking at this going, what the hell is this thing? This is called the Torqbar SB. It's made by a company called Scam Design, owned by a gentleman named Scott McCoskery. And what the Torqbar is, it's a fidget toy. And, we talked a lot about spinning tops being, in some ways, therapeutic. It's a great way of passing the time, gives your hands and eyes something to do. And it's really great if you're at home or at your office or something because, in order to spin the top, you've got to have a surface to spin on. Maybe you're going to use a spin station, and you've got to have the top with you. And you're really going to be sitting at a desk or at a table and spinning the top, and then the connection that you have with the top is only when it's spinning, and the rest of it is going to be whatever relaxation effect that it has on you as you're watching it spin. With the Torqbar, it's a lot different. The therapeutic effect is through the fact that you have a connection to it at all times. It's in your hand while you're spinning it. The other cool thing is it's a little bit more of a therapeutic device. And what I mean by that is, if you fidget, if you sit there and click a pen when you're in meetings or sitting at your desk thinking about something, if you twiddle your thumbs, if you bite your nails, if you're one of those people that pick at your fingernails, any number of those fidgeting things, it doesn't mean that you have to be some kind of schizo that needs to be on medication, but everybody has these little nervous tendencies. And it could be something very, very minor. It could be something where, you need to be in motion at all times. Or you're the kind of person that taps your feet or something like that. And it could be an indication of your boredom. It could be an indication that you're a very creative person. Your mind is always running and you don't like sitting still. Could be any number of things. And that's really what this is designed for. It's to give your fingers, give your hands something to do, and you feel this as it's spinning the entire time. So, while some people may look at a spinning top and go, well, that's nothing more than a toy, whether they appreciate the machining and the work that goes into it or not, at the end of the day, yes, it's a toy. I happen to love them. I find them very therapeutic, and I have, 20 some odd tops in various, places in my life, from my office to my home and in the kitchen and various places. This is something that you could toss in your pocket or use the provided attachment, and I'll show you in here, and you can click it to your keychain, and it gives you something to do. And I've noticed I think I've had mine for about 2 months now, and that's mine back there. It's kind of hidden. It's got a lot of patina on it. I've kind of noticed that I rely on it on a daily basis, and that people pick up on it very quickly. Whether I'm walking from my car into my office and I'm spinning it in my hand, or I'm sitting in a meeting, and instead of doing something that's loud and annoying like clicking a pen or tapping a pen, I'm spinning this silent thing, and it satisfies whatever that urge is inside of me. Again, I don't really have any kind of really ridiculous over-the-top OCD things or anything like that, but I do like the fact that I've got something that kind of occupies me to some degree. And yeah, there are guys that do tricks with these things and all kinds of crazy shit. I'm not quite that advanced. I just like to spin it. And it really depends on how you want to do it. And I'm still trying to get used to the titanium one here because it's a little bit, actually quite a lot lighter. So it spins a little bit differently. This is a lifesaver. And I've actually seen people posting on the Scam Design Facebook group, which, by the way, I would highly suggest that you join if you haven't already. People going, I really can't wait to get one because I have a serious, almost a medical or psychological need for, having something like this. And I want to be very clear, while the market is now being flooded with every Tom, Dick, and Harry from guys in their sheds in the backyard making makeshift hand spinning devices to, you know, big professional machinists, guys that are making, you know, flashlights and knives and tops and stuff that are making something similar. This is the original. This is the real deal. And let me give you some background on how the Torqbar came to be before we get more into it, so you understand why the need for this video and for the campaign that's coming up to offer a larger amount of these out on the market. Basically, Scott makes two different variations. Okay, so you have the customs and the SBs. SB stands for solid body. That means every part of this in the body is one piece. So the weights on the end are one piece with the body. The separate pieces are the two caps where your fingers hold it and the bearing packs that are set in them. So if you were to buy a custom, you're paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds into thousands of dollars. And what he did was he separated, so you have the main body. Get these out of the way because they're fighting for focus. You have the main body. You have two sets of weights, 4 weights in total. Then you have the buttons. And what he was doing was allowing people to choose pretty much any material you could imagine for all of those individual things. Then he would do things like set tritium tubes in there so they would spin and glow in the dark and really, really cool stuff like that. So he would individually pack each of these weight sets to make a perfect balance so that when you were spinning it, you had the greatest amount of inertia for a long, long spin, and it was perfectly balanced. And that takes a lot of work, and it took a lot of design time for him to do so. And now, thanks to him doing all of that work himself, everybody else now finds it easy to make it for themselves. So the custom list is very, very, very long, and it's very hard to get onto it. Actually, you can't get onto it now at this point. And he's very slow at making them, just like a custom knife maker making very exotic knives is going to be slow at making them. He's done stuff in mokutai and zirconium and zircotai, titanium, in different anodizing and flame jobs. And I mean, if you can think of it, it has probably been on a custom at some point, and the list is still going on. To satisfy the need that people had, because people were really starting to get irate when they saw it and went, oh my God, this is a need that I didn't know that I had. I want one, and I want one now. People were paying, you know, if somebody had a $500 Torqbar, people were paying $1,500 for it. Guys that had a $1,000 crazy custom Torqbar, there were guys paying $2,000 for it. Not just because they thought it looked cool, but because they had this need within them to have some sort of fidget toy that they could have with them on a daily basis. It really has gotten to be a very, very big thing. So Scott says, okay, this is getting out of hand. More people want this than I could have ever anticipated. I can never make enough. So I'm going to make what is basically, in essence, a mid-tech. So instead of him doing every single individual component in his shop, and in his shop he's got a CNC, he's got his tumblers, grinders, buffers, does bead blasting, his blasting cabinet, does anodizing, and all these different things. He says, I'm going to contract out to a machine shop to make the actual unit, and then I'll do the hand finishing of them, because that can be done fairly expeditiously. So just like a mid-tech knife, you know, the custom knife maker is going to farm out the monkey work, if you will, or you know, most of the work to a machine shop, get it back, put the final touches on it, and that allows somebody to get something close to the quality of what they normally make and not have to wait years to get it, or possibly just keep being told no. So that's how the SB came to be. Now the SBs, when you're able to buy these, they're going to be about 150, 170 bucks. Actually, I think they start at 170 bucks. And already we've seen people selling this one. This was run number 1 and run number 2 were just simply done in brass. I've seen these go for $600. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but when somebody wants something that badly, they're going to pay for it. I've had mine. I was part of the second run, and so I had to wait a long time to get mine. I've been wanting a custom, couldn't get it, so this was perfectly good for me. And I have carried this pretty much every day in my pocket. And I found myself pulling it out nearly every day and fidgeting with it, and it really is a wonderful relaxation. So the different variations that will be available, okay, you got the solid brass, you have the tellurium copper. I apologize for goofing that up. Tellurium copper with, I believe these are bronze, actually no, these are probably brass finger pads there. Then you have an all stainless steel, and then you have the titanium. Now the titanium is far and away my favorite. I mean, seriously my favorite. I love that it's lighter weight, and I get a really fantastic spin out of it. Now I'm pretty sure the heavier the material you get, like stainless steel or the solid tellurium copper, is going to be, I'm sure that's going to be the longest spinner. But it's not really a contest like with a top, in my opinion. So I find myself stopping it to restart it more often. So for me, it doesn't matter how long it spins. I do notice that the new versions are smoother in their and quieter in their operation than this one. I'm going to give mine a good hard spin above my microphone, which is right up here, and you might be able to hear it. And then we'll take one of the new ones here, do the same hard spin. Now, I have no way of knowing until I watch the video later once it's uploaded if that actually came across on my microphone, but there is a certain distinct sound to the original. These newer ones, much smoother. Now, mine also has been sitting in a pocket, getting pocket lint every day it's being used, but I do remember when I first got it, and it's almost as smooth as the day I got it. You can actually feel the bearings as it spins, and I actually kind of like that feeling. But these new ones, I'm going to have to guess that these are ceramic bearings versus steel bearings, and there is a difference. There's much lower friction coefficient for ceramic, being a harder, smoother surface than steel. So I can't verify this. Maybe Scott can. I'm going to assume that my original is steel bearings and that these are ceramic. So they spin super fast. They spin super long. And they're so well balanced. It really is a lot of fun. And more so than just being fun, for some people it is going to feel like a tool that they need to have with them at all times. Now, because of the frame rate of my camera, you're not probably going to see how fast these are really spinning, but they are going very, very fast. Let me show you the packaging. Again, that's my original. These three here are prototypes. So all the boxes that I have here are marked as such. So we have the copper, the titanium, and the stainless steel, all done right there. And what you're going to get when you open it up, each of these will come in a little sealed plastic cover, which I got rid of, so I apologize, but it's a little clear plastic cover. You get a Scam Design sticker, and then you will get this little guy right here so that you can quickly attach and detach your torque bar to your keychain. It just simply goes on like that. Very, very simple. So you don't have to, thread this on and off every time you want to use it. You just simply squeeze, pop it off, and now it's off of your keys, and you can spin to your heart's content. So that's the way it's going to be set up. Now, accessories that Scott has talked about making for these, which are kind of cool. He's looking at doing a fat button, which is going to be thicker than the standard buttons. What it's going to allow you to do is lay it on a flat surface and be able to spin it like a top. So that's going to be a really cool thing as well. There's a pointed button, so basically, as the name would dictate, the button comes to a point, and it's going to allow you to kind of use it like a hybrid top or a gyroscope. So you can lay it down, spin it, and it will move around and all kinds of neat shit and spin like a top, but on that pointy surface. The trick button, which is a deep dish flared button that'll make it easier for you to throw and catch and do all kinds of neat stuff like that. A tandem button that will allow you to take 2 or more torque bars and put them together and do various different things like that. And then there's going to be fancy exotic buttons that he's going to have as drop-in replacements, because these buttons actually pop off very easily. He's also going to make a desk stand, and he's looking at making clips so that you can carry these with a lanyard. So that's kind of neat. So that's basically it. So do you need one? You know what? Only you can decide that. And there are those of you right now that are watching going, holy shit, I need that. I absolutely need that. And there are some guys going, well, it sounds kind of neat, but there are other hand fidget toys on the market. And there's some things that click and that you can there's a little cube now that has like a little rolling click thing on it and a push button on the other side and all kinds of different things. But it's big and it's blocky and it's square, and I don't know how cheap it feels being made of plastic. You may be looking at other companies that are offering hand spinners right now. They're basically taking advantage of the fact that it has taken Scott a long time in R&D to perfect these things and now to get himself to a production level. So they didn't have to do that. They saw what he did and went, oh, I can do that. Now that I have that idea in my head, I'm going to make it. And they're trying to beat him to market. And you know what? That's you know what? That's the way it is. That's free enterprise. These are patent pending. This is the original. Nobody had made anything like this until Scott. And that it's easy to look back and see that now. But you know what? The longer it takes him to get these out, unfortunately, the more people are going to get their chance to make their few bucks. Most people are going to be charging more money because they can't work at the capacity that he is now able to do. So, it's going to be up to you as to what you like. I love this thing. And if you think, and I do want to kind of clear the air on this because there's sometimes misconceptions about how I get things and do videos and things like that. I'm not saying that you should buy Scott's because I think Scott is the greatest guy in the world, and we're going on a hunting trip next weekend, and sometimes he sits on my lap and sticks his tongue in my ear. It is absolutely nothing like that. As a matter of fact, I had come across the Torqbar a little late in the game. I don't remember who had shown it to me. I probably saw it in somebody's hand dump on Instagram with their EDC gear. And I went, oh shit, I've got to have one of those. And I researched it, and I found his Facebook group, and I reached out to him, and I said, I don't know what your procedure is. I really want to get on your list for one. I don't care how long it takes, but I want to get one. And he responded back, well, here's how the list works. Here's how everything works. And this, you got to remember, guys, this was fairly early on. And he says, I require a 50% deposit. And at the time, we were looking at like a $500 Torqbar, so I'd have to give up $250 and not see the build for at least 6 months. Now, coming from the world that I come from with custom knives, we all know that's a big red flag. You do not prepay any large amount of money, any large percentage of the cost to a knife maker. Even the most upstanding guys that have nothing but the best intentions can sometimes get overwhelmed with their books. They blow way past their deadlines, and people start calling them scumbags because they've waited an extra year after they've already paid. It's a very, very tough thing. So I kind of went, hell no, and just kind of left it at that. About a month or so later, somebody had posted about the Torqbars in some EDC group or knife group, I don't recall which, and I made a very smart-ass, very offensive to him, very offensive post, and said, pretty much, fuck that guy. I reached out to him and I wanted to order one, and he said I had to wait all this time, which is fine, but I had to give this big deposit and all this and all that, and I just wasn't going to have that shit, and I think it's rather unprofessional. Well, of course, I put my foot in my mouth because he saw the post, and he wasn't a dick about it, which is what was amazing, because the tone of my post, you guys know how I can be sometimes when I'm just kind of venting. And he says, no, honestly, if you and I had talked a little bit further, if you would have responded to that message and said, hey, here's why I don't feel comfortable doing that, I've worked with people on that. I just want to make sure, because I'm just starting out on this and I'm using such expensive exotic materials, that if I just start taking a bunch of orders and people aren't committed in some way financially to it, they could just simply say no when their time comes up, and I may have made something for them that nobody else would want. Maybe they want it painted with pink polka dots and tiger stripes and shit. Who knows what somebody would order? And I'm stuck with it because nobody else would want it at that point. So I have to back myself up because I put all of my personal money into the development of this product. And I went back, I said, you know what? I said, you're absolutely right. And that makes perfect sense. And I apologize for it. And then several months later, when he announced the solid body coming out, because at that point I'm like, I am never going to message this guy again and ask him to put me on the custom list after being such a dickhead to him. But when the SB list came up, I said, you know what, I really want one of these. I really want to have something that I can take with me. And maybe I'm sitting in rush hour traffic and I've got something I can kind of fiddle with or something. Maybe for some people it's going to help them quit smoking, you know, who knows. And I said, I really want one of these, so maybe I can get myself on the list for the cheap version. And he was nice enough. He says, you know what, I can do that. He goes, I'm already through with the first list. I've got to put you way back on the second list if you don't mind waiting. I said, yeah, no, absolutely, that's great. And my time came up. That was when he charged me. That's when I paid for it, and I got it. And for me, the rest is history. I've been enjoying the living shit out of it. So for me, it was a good investment. And I wanted to tell that story so that people understood, you know, this is not about kissing somebody's ass to get what is in this genre, the hot thing right now. I really wanted to be able to do the video. So when I got mine, I said, Scott, I'm going to make the video on it and let people see it. I did that little teaser video, and I'm going to leave that on YouTube probably forever. And I said, I want to kind of get the word out there for you because I really think that this is a really, really cool little device. And he says, well, do me a favor and wait, because every time the Torqbar gets mentioned outside of the group, we get more people in the group, more impatient people, that really, honestly, truly, and I've read the posts, get very perturbed when they can't just buy one. And I've never seen it quite to that degree in custom knives or in tops or in anything. They really get pissy. And that's my words, by the way, not Scott's. He says, so do me a favor, don't do it yet. As a matter of fact, when I get the prototypes done for some of the other material variations, I'd like to send those out to you so people can see more than just one under your camera lens. So that was the reason why the video is coming out now, because now he is ready to release a full production. It's not going to be signing up and praying that you get one. He is making a bunch, and he's making them readily available. And he's doing them in several different materials. Now again, for me, the titanium is where it's at. That is my hands down favorite for two reasons. One, it's very lightweight, and there's something, it almost feels smoother, and it's probably just in my mind. But the main thing for me is I don't like things that patina. Those that have followed me long enough know that I no longer have knives made for me with brass or copper or bronze, because I don't like things that were once shiny and new looking like dog shit in a couple of weeks or a couple of months from handling it. Some people love patina, they really do, and that's great. And if you're one of those people, then you're going to want brass or you're going to want copper. For me, it was going to be steel or titanium. They're going to take the abuse. They can be carried every single day. They're going to get character marks on them, but they're not going to look old and disgusting and frankly dirty. The other great thing about titanium is the fact that if you're carrying it in your pocket and you sweat a lot, you're out working outside or something or whatever, it can't rust. You're not going to hurt it. Now, once these two develop their natural patina, and mine certainly has begun to, that forms a natural barrier of protection against corrosion. But, you know, titanium, you're not going to rust it. You're not going to pit it. You're not going to corrode it. I love that feature. I love the fact that it's lightweight. I love the fact that it's pretty much going to look like this forever. Yeah, it's going to get scratched up, but I like it for that reason. So for me, titanium is where it's at. This is going to now be my daily. I'm probably going to retire this. Another thing, and this may bother some people, it may not, but you know, when you handle certain metals for a long enough period of time, your hands take on the smell of that metal. So, you know, as I'm flipping this for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in a meeting, my hands will then smell like old brass. Well, titanium doesn't do that. There's no scent to it. There's no metallic agitation with the sweat and the oils in your skin. So you don't have to worry about that there either. And that may be something that you want to consider. I don't know. It's entirely up to you. One thing I am looking forward to is the fat buttons so that it can be spun on a surface, so you can have your finger widget toy when you're running around, and when you're sitting at your desk and you want to have a top, and maybe you didn't bring a top with you or you don't leave a top at the office, you have something to spin like a top. So there are a lot of different options. There might be more options available when the sale begins than what I have sitting here, but at least sitting here you've got a good idea of what your choices are going to be, and you can start picking out your favorite for whatever picky reason that is. One thing that you want to keep in mind is you do want to upkeep them every now and then, just a little bit. You can very simply pry these caps off and you will see the race of bearings in there, a set of bearings on either side. And, you know, I don't know what Scott recommends, and if he does have a recommendation somewhere on his Facebook group, please do what he tells you to do. But for me personally, mine is due for a cleaning now. I'm going to be popping mine off, and the way we do it for custom knives that have bearings, the smart way to do it, is you spray a power spray of WD-40 in there really good, work it in really, really well. Then you take compressed air. Hopefully you have an air compressor in your garage, and you blow all the WD-40 out. Remember, WD-40 is not a lubricant, so you don't want to use it as a lubricant. You're using it to clean and get the grit and grime out of there. Then you're going to blow the rest of it out with highly charged compressed air. Make sure it's all dry, put it back together. If you want to put lube in there, go for it. Maybe something like Tough Glide or Frog Lube might be a good idea. Or nano oil. Nano oil will last the longest and break down the slowest, but I have not oiled mine, I have not lubricated mine, and I have a house full of lube. Take that any way you want, and I've just never chosen to do it. And I'm thinking now, once I take this apart, I might put a little drop in each side, and it might come out every bit as smooth as this. So there you go, guys. That is my little dissertation on the Torqbar. I think they're fantastic. I think it's a convenient way for you to occupy your nervous tendencies and occupy your mind, and maybe it helps you think. I don't know. It's like people that just spin a pen around on their knuckles. They're doing it usually while they're thinking of something, and there's something about that connection between your brain and your hands that is, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a psychotherapist. I've never studied that. There probably is a certain reason that we do these things. And this is an aid for that. So for whatever reason, maybe you're just buying it because it's friggin' cool. Party on, man. Enjoy it. They're going to be available pretty much immediately as I upload this. I'm trying to coordinate this with Scott to upload around that same time, so I'm not working people up into a fever for no reason. And those that begin to get curious once they've spotted it, now you can search it and find out exactly what it's all about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.